Rain poured steadily over the small Atlanta cemetery as people gathered beneath a large white canopy. The air was heavy, not just with grief, but with tension. Monica James stood quietly at the edge, dressed in a plain black dress, holding a small umbrella. No one looked at her. No one said her name. It was her father's funeral, and yet she felt like a stranger among his people. Under the canopy there was laughter. Plates clinked, chairs scraped the concrete, and Vivian, the woman Monica had called her stepmother for nearly 20 years, sat surrounded by friends and family. Monica watched as trays of steaming jollof rice, grilled chicken, and fried plantains were passed around. People were eating well, even joking between bites. Monica's stomach turned with hunger, but more than that, it ached with sadness. Her eyes found the framed photo of her father, Walter James, propped near the table of food. He had a proud smile in the picture, one Monica hadn't seen in person for years. She finally took a deep breath and stepped forward, slowly approaching the table. Maybe someone would notice her. Maybe this moment would remind them that she was his daughter too. But as soon as she reached for a plate, Vivian's voice rang out loud and clear. "Excuse me, those are for family." Monica froze. The words hit her like a slap. Several heads turned to look. Some people smirked. No one said a word in her defense. Vivian didn't even look up as she added, "We don't have enough for everyone." Monica blinked, her hand still hovering near the plate. For a second, she thought about arguing, telling them who she was, reminding them that she had held her father's hand the night he died, that she had stayed in the hospital, not them. But her pride stopped her. She pulled her hand back and turned away. No one followed her. No one called her name. She walked back to her car, heels clicking softly on the wet pavement, the only sound besides the rain. She sat in the driver's seat, closed the door, and let the silence wrap around her. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Her chest tightened. She looked down at her lap and whispered, "You really left me with nothing, didn't you?" Outside, the laughter continued. Inside, Monica felt something sharp and deep settle inside her. Not just pain, but something colder. A promise, maybe. They had shut her out like she didn't matter. But they had no idea what she would serve them next. Monica James grew up in a small 2-bedroom apartment with her mother on the south side of Atlanta. Her mom, Sharon, worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses during the day and waiting tables at night. Life was never easy, but it was full of love. Sharon always made sure Monica had food, school supplies, and hugs when the world felt heavy. Monica's father, Walter, had left when she was just 7 years old. One day he packed his things, kissed her on the forehead, and promised to visit every week. But the visits became phone calls, and then even those stopped. He remarried quickly. Vivian was young, stylish, and had 2 kids of her own, Bryce and Layla. They moved into a big house in a nicer part of town. Monica was invited a few times in the beginning, mostly for birthdays or holidays. But over the years, the invitations stopped coming. Vivian always found a reason. "We're out of town," or "the house is being renovated," or just silence. Still, Monica never stopped trying. On her 18th birthday, she called her father and left a message. "I just want to have dinner with you. Nothing fancy. Just you and me." He never called back. By the time she was in college studying nursing, she had accepted the truth. She was no longer a part of his new life. After her mother passed away from cancer when Monica was 24, she stood alone at that funeral too. No family on her father's side came. Not one card, not one call. She remembered crying in the bathroom at the funeral home, trying to wash her face and go back out like she was fine. But somehow she kept going. She became a nurse, working night shifts at a busy hospital. The job was hard, but it gave her a purpose. She liked helping people. She liked feeling needed. Because in her personal life, no one needed her. Not her father, not his new family. Then last year, Walter got sick. It was cancer. Advanced. No one told her at first. She only found out because a friend from the hospital mentioned it. When she visited him in the hospital, he looked shocked to see her. "You came," he had said, his voice weak. "Of course I came," she replied, tears in her eyes. "I'm your daughter." That was the first real conversation they had in years. In the weeks that followed, she visited often. Sometimes Vivian was there, cold and quiet. Other times, the room was empty except for her and her father. They spoke about little things. Movies. Food. Memories. He apologized once. Just once. "I should have done better." The night he died, it was Monica who sat beside him, holding his hand. He looked at her and whispered something she'd never forget. "You always show up." After his death, she hoped things would change. That Vivian and the others would finally see her. Maybe not as family, but at least as someone who mattered. She never expected a warm welcome, but she didn't expect to be treated like nothing either. Now, sitting in her small apartment weeks after the funeral, Monica stared at the framed photo of her parents, one taken before the divorce. Her mother had her arm around her, smiling. Walter stood a little behind them, serious as always. It was one of the few photos she still had from that time. She picked up her phone and scrolled through her messages. Nothing from Vivian. Nothing from Bryce or Layla. No one even said thank you for helping at the hospital. No one acknowledged that she was there when Walter took his last breath. She got up and looked at the small pile of mail on her counter. Bills. Work schedules. A letter from the lawyer's office. She hadn't opened that one yet. She didn't expect anything from her father's estate. In her mind, everything had already gone to Vivian and her kids. The house, the money, the cars. She had made peace with that. But something about the envelope made her pause. It was heavy, official-looking. Her name was typed clearly across the front. Monica sat back down, holding the envelope in her hand. She didn't open it yet. Instead, she thought about what she wanted from all this. Not money. Not property. Just recognition. Just for someone to say, yes, you belong. You were his daughter. She looked out the window at the busy street below. People were rushing to work, walking dogs, picking up coffee. The world was moving on. But she was stuck, floating somewhere between anger and sadness. What did she really have? No mother. No father. No family who claimed her. Just her job and a name no one seemed to respect. She finally tore the envelope open, not expecting much. But what she found inside would change everything. Inside the envelope was a legal document from her father's lawyer. Monica sat up straighter as she read the letter carefully. Her hands shook a little, and her eyes moved back and forth, reading each line twice to be sure she understood. Her father had left her something. Not just something small. He had left her his duplex apartment in downtown Atlanta. 2 full units, one upstairs, one downstairs, fully paid off, good location, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Monica couldn't believe it. After everything, after years of feeling forgotten, her father had given her something that mattered. He didn't leave her out after all. Tears filled her eyes, but they weren't just from joy. They were mixed with confusion, shock, and a strange kind of anger. Why didn't he tell her before he died? Why didn't he say more when they had those quiet talks in the hospital? She folded the letter and placed it carefully back in the envelope. Then she picked up her phone and called the lawyer's office. They confirmed it. Her father's last will and testament had been updated just 6 weeks before he died. The duplex was hers, and the papers had already been filed with the court. The next day, Monica visited the property. It was a 2-story brick building on a quiet street, a bit worn down but solid. A for rent sign was still in the yard. As she walked around the front porch, her heart filled with something she hadn't felt in years: hope. She had plans already. Maybe she could fix up one unit and live in it, rent out the other. Maybe this was her fresh start. But word got out fast. That night, she got a call from an unknown number. It was Bryce. "You need to give that place back," he said coldly. Monica was stunned. "What are you talking about? It's in the will." "You tricked him when he was sick," Bryce snapped. "Everyone knows it. That place was supposed to stay in the family." "I am family," Monica said quietly. He laughed. "No, you're just the girl he used to visit. You don't belong with us." Then he hung up. The next morning, Vivian showed up at her door. Monica opened it, surprised. "Vivian." Vivian didn't smile. She didn't even say hello. She walked right in without asking. "I want to make something clear," she said. "That duplex belongs to my family. You might have gotten some lawyer to scribble your name on paper, but everyone knows Walter was confused at the end." "He was clear," Monica said. "He knew what he was doing." Vivian shook her head. "You think this means you won? You think this makes you his daughter again?" She leaned in. "You'll regret this. That building brings nothing but problem. You don't know what you're doing." Monica stood firm. "I'm keeping it." Vivian stared at her for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. "Fine. Let's see how long you last." After she left, Monica's mind raced. What did Vivian mean? What problems? The building seemed fine. The tenants were quiet. The property was old but livable. But just 2 days later, someone broke a window on the lower floor. Nothing was stolen, but it felt like a warning. Then trash started showing up on the porch. Graffiti appeared on the side wall. She reported it to the police, but nothing came of it. No cameras, no witnesses. A week later, one of the tenants stopped paying rent. When Monica went to check, she found out someone else had told them to send rent to a different account, Vivian. Monica couldn't believe it. Vivian was stealing rent from her. She called and demanded an explanation, but Vivian just laughed and hung up. Now Monica understood. This wasn't just a property. It was a battle. They wanted her gone. They wanted her erased, just like they had erased her from the funeral, from family photos, from holidays and birthdays. But this time, Monica wasn't going to walk away. This time, she had something to fight for, and she wasn't afraid anymore. Monica woke up early every morning now, even on her days off. Her mind was too busy to sleep late. She was trying to keep the duplex together, but every week brought new problems. One morning, she arrived at the property to find the front yard littered with trash, fast food wrappers, broken glass, even a bag of old clothes. Someone had clearly dumped it overnight. Again, she sighed, pulled on gloves, and began to clean. As she worked, one of the upstairs tenants came out and handed her an envelope. "This came while you were gone yesterday," the older woman said. Monica opened it and frowned. It was a city warning. Someone had reported her for unsafe property conditions. She stared at the paper in disbelief. She looked around. The lawn was clean last week. She had fixed the broken window. She had even called a painter to remove the graffiti. Someone was trying to make her look bad on purpose. She went back home that night and cried for a long time. It wasn't just the property, it was the loneliness. She had no one helping her, no family to call, no one who really believed in her. She tried talking to her coworkers, but some had already heard things from Bryce. "Is it true your dad left you something big?" one nurse asked casually. That must have upset the others. Monica stayed quiet. She didn't want to feed the gossip, but the rumors grew. Somehow, people thought she had forced her father to change the will while he was dying. Others said she was just money-hungry and disrespecting her stepfamily. One day, her supervisor pulled her aside. "Monica, I'm hearing things. Some of the staff are uncomfortable. It might be best if you take a little time off until things settle down." She nodded, holding back tears. They were pushing her out of everything, her job, her father's memory, even her own future. That evening, she sat in the empty duplex. No tenants left. They had all moved out, scared by the chaos. The walls felt cold. She had a mattress on the floor, a blanket, and a single lamp. That was all. She scrolled through her phone, looking at pictures of her mom, her only real family, her anchor. "What would you do, Mom?" she whispered. Then she remembered something. Her father's old business partner, Mr. Langston. He used to run property deals with Walter back in the early days. She had met him a few times as a kid. Kind man, always smiled at her. She found his number online and called. After a short pause, he answered. "Monica? Sharon's daughter." "Yes, sir. I'm in trouble." They met the next day at a coffee shop. Monica told him everything, about the will, the duplex, the threats, the lies. He listened quietly, sipping his coffee. After a long silence, he said, "Your father wasn't blind. He knew Vivian was doing shady things, stealing rent money, lying about repairs. He told me, just before he passed, that he was tired of it." Monica leaned in. "Do you have proof?" Langston nodded slowly. "I might. I have some old files. Your father started documenting things. He even wrote a letter saying he wanted to fix everything before he died. I think he left those things for a reason. Maybe for you." He handed her a small folder. Inside were copies of rent checks, repair requests, and bank records, all showing Vivian taking money under Walter's name. Monica stared at the pages, heart pounding. This was real. She wasn't imagining things. Her father knew the truth. He had just waited too long to stop it. She thanked Langston and took the documents straight to a lawyer. The lawyer was impressed. "You've got something solid here," she said. "This could open up a case. Maybe even a fraud investigation." Monica filed a report with the city. She also started quietly gathering more evidence, texts from tenants, screenshots of payments, and her own notes. But something in her heart still felt heavy. It wasn't just about the money or the building. It was about being treated like a ghost in her own life. One night, while lying on her mattress, she opened a new email account and started writing. She poured out the whole story. Her father leaving, her mother raising her alone, the way Vivian treated her, the funeral, the duplex, everything. She posted it on a blog under a fake name, Daughter in the Dark. She didn't expect much. But within a week, the post was shared hundreds of times. Then thousands. People commented things like, "This is my story too. I cried reading this. I've never felt so seen." Monica felt something shift inside her. For the first time, people were listening. People believed her. So she kept writing. She shared updates. She talked about being erased from family, about surviving with no support. She shared her father's files, blurring the names. She told the truth. Then a woman messaged her, a journalist. "Your story is powerful. Would you be willing to talk, even anonymously?" Monica thought about it for a long time. Then she said yes. The article came out 2 weeks later. It exploded online. Suddenly, everyone was talking about the forgotten daughter. Vivian and Bryce were called out in the comments. People began looking into their past. It didn't take long before more stories came forward. Former tenants, neighbors, even people from church. They all said the same thing. Vivian had been taking money, lying, controlling everything. The pressure built fast. Monica stayed quiet, but the lawyer told her investigations had begun. Vivian called her once, voice angry and shaking. "You're ruining everything. You want to burn the whole family down." Monica replied calmly, "I just want what's mine. And I want the truth." Vivian hung up. Monica sat in the dark that night, no lights except her phone's screen. She scrolled through the blog comments, women, men, children of broken family, and she realized something. She wasn't alone anymore. This wasn't just about her father's duplex. It was about reclaiming her name, her voice, her place in the world. And she was just getting started. The article spread faster than anyone expected. In just 3 days, Monica's story was everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, local news blog. Even some national websites picked it up with headlines like, "The daughter left in the shadows and she was erased, but not anymore." Monica tried to stay calm, but the truth was she was nervous. She hadn't used real names in the beginning, but now that the story had gone public, people were connecting the dots. Reporters started calling. A camera crew even showed up outside the duplex. She stayed quiet, didn't open the door, but her name was out there now. Then one morning, her lawyer called. "They're opening a formal investigation," she said, "into the rental fraud, the forged documents, and possibly even tax issues. You need to be prepared." Monica felt her heart racing, but not out of fear. This was justice finally coming. That same afternoon, she got a message from a producer at a major talk show. They wanted her on as a guest. Monica said no at first. She wasn't ready. But then she thought about her mom and that funeral and how they had all laughed while she stood alone. She wrote back, "Yes, I'll do it." The day of the taping, she wore a simple black dress and sat across from the host, who looked her in the eyes and said, "Tell us what happened." Monica told it all. She spoke with calm, clear words about her childhood, about her mother raising her alone, about being ignored at every holiday, about the day they denied her food at her father's funeral. The audience was silent as she spoke. Then she said, "I wasn't supposed to get anything. They made sure I felt like I didn't belong. But my father, in the end, he saw me. He gave me something. And now I'm using that to help others." The crowd erupted in applause. The clip went viral online that same night. Vivian and Bryce, meanwhile, were in full panic. Monica's lawyer told her they had tried to move money, close accounts, even threatened some of the former tenants into silence. But it was too late. 1 week later, Monica got a call from the district attorney's office. Vivian was being formally charged with fraud, forgery, and theft. Bryce was also under investigation for helping her collect fake rent payments. Monica stood in her tiny kitchen, phone to her ear, and just smiled. The next day, she returned to the duplex. She walked through the empty rooms slowly. The walls were bare, but her heart was full. She was finally at peace. She had fought back and won. But there was one last moment that would seal everything. Monica was invited to a real estate event, hosted by her father's old friend, Mr. Langston. It was a gathering of business people, landlords, and city officials. At the event, Langston took the stage and said, "There's someone here who reminds me of Walter James, not the man we knew in the papers, but the man he wanted to be at the end. Someone brave, kind, and strong." He called Monica to the stage. She walked up, heart pounding, as everyone clapped. Langston handed her the microphone. "I was left out of everything for years," Monica began, voice steady. "But I still showed up. At the hospital, at the funeral, at the courtroom, and now I'm here, because I didn't give up." Then she looked into the crowd and added, "They refused to give me a plate at my own father's funeral. But what I've served since then is truth and healing and strength." People stood up, applauding, some with tears in their eyes. And in that moment, Monica knew the power had finally shifted. She had gone from being forgotten to unforgettable. Monica's life began to change in small but powerful ways. The duplex, once filled with problems and bad memories, started to feel like home. She fixed it up slowly: new paint, clean floors, working lights. She kept one unit for herself and turned the other into something special. She created a safe space for single mothers who had nowhere else to go. Just like her mom once struggled, she knew what it meant to survive alone. She used her savings and some donations from supporters online to buy beds, a fridge, toys, and books for children. Her blog, Daughter in the Dark, grew into a full website. She added stories from other women, people who had been pushed aside by stepfamilies, betrayed by relatives, or forgotten after loss. It became a community. People emailed her daily to thank her for being brave enough to speak first. Monica's old hospital reached out and offered her job back, but she politely declined. She had something new now. Her purpose wasn't just nursing, it was rebuilding lives, starting with her own. She got a small grant from a local women's group, enough to offer basic legal help to others going through similar things. She partnered with a lawyer, the same one who helped her, and created free workshops on property rights, inheritance laws, and family abuse. Vivian was found guilty of multiple charges and sentenced to time in a correctional facility. Bryce faced heavy fines and lost his real estate license. Neither of them spoke to Monica again, but she didn't need them to. She had nothing left to prove. Sometimes, she would walk through the duplex and stop at the back window where sunlight poured in. She'd imagine her mother smiling, proud. Her father's voice, the last thing he said to her, still stayed with her. You always show up. One day, Monica was invited to speak at a local college event about women in leadership. She stood in front of the crowd and shared her story. Not just the pain, but what she did with it. I didn't get justice right away, she said. And I didn't get love from the people I thought I would. But I gave it to myself. I built a table when no one made room for me. And now I make room for others. The audience clapped, but more than that, they listened. Monica left the stage feeling lighter than she had in years. Not because everything was perfect, but because she had taken control of her life. She no longer asked for space. She took it. She no longer chased after family. She created one through the people who truly saw her. Monica finally understood what power felt like. Not loud or cruel, but quiet and steady. The kind that comes from standing tall after being pushed down. And most of all, she felt free. It was a warm Sunday afternoon when Monica drove to the cemetery. The sky was clear, and the wind was gentle, carrying the sound of birds and distant church bells. She walked slowly through the rows of headstones, carrying a small lunchbox in her hand. When she reached her father's grave, she stopped and stood in silence for a while. The headstone was simple. Just his name, birth and death dates, and the words forever remembered. Monica knelt down and opened the lunchbox. Inside was a neatly packed meal, jollof rice, grilled chicken, and a small slice of sweet cornbread. His favorite things. She placed it gently at the base of the headstone and smiled softly. I remember how you used to eat this on Sundays, she said quietly. Mom would roll her. Hey besties. Thanks so much for watching till the end. If you loved Monica's powerful journey from rejection to revenge, don't forget to like, share, comment, and of course, subscribe for more emotional, drama-filled stories. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip. She booked one seat beside. See you in the next one. Bye!